hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine evening. It is Tuesday night. This is the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories From Beyond, and I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you, and thank you guys for being here with me. Hey, Renee, good to see you. Pappy. Did you call me Pappy? I'm a Pappy. I am a Pappy, as a matter of fact. Excuse me. So, welcome to the show, and good to see you, Julia and Deb and Renee, and so far I think that's all that's in the door. We kind of started a little earlier. Hey, Zero Mind, how you doing? Good to see you. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, we are ready to go, I think. Well, I'm ready to go. Are you guys ready to go? Well, no more lagging because it's time for bed. And Lord Vader just made it in. Good evening, Lord Vader. If you only knew the power of the dark side. Welcome, everybody. Lena, hi, good to see you. MCAT, good to see you, brother. And everyone else that's coming in. There's just lots of names popping up now, so it's an awesome time, and it's wonderful. Always good for my heart to see you guys plow in. And welcome to the show. And aloha, Lena. Enjoy that heat for me, will you? I miss that warmth so much. Omi Nalani, good to see you. Aloha as well. Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here with us. And yes, thank you, Julia. Please like the streams. Now, here's something that I've found out, and I mentioned it last night as well, but I'll mention it tonight. I mentioned it last night at the end of the stream, so in case I lost any viewers before the end of the stream, I'd just like to point out that in looking at the analytics, which is, if you're not familiar with analytics, it's basically the data breakdown of any one specific thing, and in this case, our YouTube channel. And what I've found is that 55% of our views are coming from unsubscribed people, which is awesome. It's wonderful that people are finding the channel and they're checking it out, and it's a real honor for me, and I'm really glad you guys are doing that. But I really hope that you subscribe. I hope that you stick around and that you click that bell so you get notifications when we're on air. 7 nights a week, 7 p.m. Pacific time, there's a portal going on, unless I screw up, and which has only happened once, I think. But normally I don't screw up. I'm usually right here and anxious to get on the air with you guys. So, but again, please subscribe. It really is wonderful to see our family growing, and it's growing pretty amazingly huge. Maybe not by YouTube standards, but you guys have to understand, I've done nothing to advertise this channel, nothing other than social media. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. And, I, of course, do my posts on different media platforms and stuff, announcing the shows. But what's happened here is just an organic growth. It's people telling each other, or people finding it just because they're into the paranormal. And, I love that kind of growth. Because it's real. It's real growth. It's people that are finding us, that are interested in what we're doing. A lot of channels will do these sub shares and stuff like, hey, you like my channel, you sub to my channel, I'll sub to yours, and it's a great idea because it looks really impressive when you see those, huge numbers. And not everybody that has huge numbers is doing it, but there are many, 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 many channels that do this, and they end up with these really bloated numbers. and it looks impressive. But I mean, if people aren't really into what you're doing, what are you doing it for? I mean, why make it look so much more impressive? Just, sell them on your content, sell people on what you're doing, and make them want to be a part of that. And, I would love to take all the credit for what the Paranormal Portal has become, but I can't. It's really you guys. It's you guys that make this community amazing. So please subscribe, please like the videos, and hit the bell so you get reminders when we're on. I'll have to get one of those little, lower third things that says, please subscribe. I'm going to work on that tomorrow, maybe. Maybe by tomorrow night's show we'll have that up. But, it just really helps. And it helps, of course, the more people that are subscribed and the more people that like the videos, the more YouTube is likely to promote it in like recommended videos. So it does actually serve a purpose. It's not just me, needing some kind of gratification or, approval. I mean, I love it that you guys, approve of what we're doing, but it actually helps to promote the show quite a bit by those likes. So if you wouldn't mind, I would be really, really pleased if you would. So enough of that. This is the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories from Beyond. This is our shorter format shows. We have the 2-hour shows on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And, of course, Friday and Saturday, we're on the network as well. And then Friday, Saturday also, the phone lines are open. As a secondary note, I am looking into acquiring our own phone lines for the Paranormal Portal. And, Haxer, this is all thanks to you. You've really put that in my head and got me thinking about it. So I'm looking at options to see what we can do in order to have call-ins available 7 days a week here on the show. And I think that would be absolutely epic and phenomenal because, you guys, when you participate, it makes the show just so much more amazing. And I know that a lot of you are participating in chat already, and that's phenomenal, but it's really hard when I'm doing the solo shows to keep an eye on the chats and to keep on, everything else. So we're working on it. I'm working on it. I'm doing everything I can to continue to develop the show. Ooh, I forgot the moon. Hold on. Let me get the moon going. I got a remote control moon. Let's see. Not red. Not that. Let's do the color. Oh, maybe a blue moon tonight. What do you think? A blue moon good? Or is that better? Ooh, that's kind of cool. Let me see. How about this one? Where am I? There it goes. Yeah, maybe a blue, maybe an aqua blue. All right, we'll go for an aqua blue. Well, maybe we'll do the color changing one. No, wait, this is just white. There we go. We'll do the color changing one again. That's kind of fun. Hey, Gemini, good to see you. Who else is coming in? Lady Death has gotten in. Good to see you, my dear. And Voice of the Dragons, good to see you, brother. I'm glad you're here. Ken, good to see you. Excellent. I've missed you. And what's this? What's this? I got Elijah Shortbeard here. Are you gonna pull up the chair? No? Okay. You're just gonna crawl around the floor. Okay. Gotcha. This is my little minion. If you didn't see him the last time he was on, this is Elijah, my little boy, and my heart and soul. One of my hearts and souls. I got two other children as well, but they're much bigger than him. So I can't really have you on my lap through the whole show, honey, because I got to use the mouse. But do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Are you shy? What's the name of the show?
Paranormal Portal.
Yeah! Woohoo! Paranormal Portal, woo! Okay, watch out, honey. Those are candles. You got to watch your hands. You can't get your hands too close. Otherwise, you get burned fingers. Burned fingers are no fun. So, all right, go get your get your Kindle, okay? Can you open it? Do you want me to help you? All right. Stand by, please. Hold on 1 second. I got to go to an unscheduled break quickly. I gotta let him out the door. So, can you get it? Nope. Okay. This calls for Daddy. Just a second, guys. I'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry about that. I had to free him from the studio. The door's a little sticky. So it's just a little hard for a little 3-year-old to do that. So anyway, forgot what I was saying, but here we go. Let's get some stories under our belt here. I got several pulled up for you guys tonight. Hopefully they're good. Hopefully they're good. And guys, if you also have ideas for shows that you'd like to hear us do, please feel free. You know, you can email in your stories, but you can also email in your ideas. If you'd like to see a show done about a specific phenomena or something, you know, that has happened, you'd like us to mention it on the show, some significant event, please, by all means, do that, and we can discuss it. But the show, jeez. The show email is paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. So, yeah, feel free to send in your ideas and requests and your ghost stories or whatever, and I'll share them on the shows, and we can do a show about your idea. Initially, Ruth Ann had told me about the flannel man, and then she submitted her story as well. I've been looking a little bit into that. It's kind of an obscure phenomena, but I'm seeing if I can at least pull together a bedtime stories segment about it, because it's a pretty cool thing. I'd never heard of the flannel man before, but apparently what it is apparitions that appear that seem to be consistently wearing flannel shirts, kind of in the same theme as the Hat Man, which is a shadow man with wearing a wide-brimmed hat, and oftentimes is viewed with glowing red eyes. So we'll get into that if we can, but just an idea. So the first one I'm going to read you tonight comes out of Pennsylvania, ladies and gentlemen. And just looking at the chat here. Oh, Jellyfish 77577. Good to see you. Aye, aye, Captain. All right. Okay, you landlubbers. Here we go. No, you know, Pat's here too. Okay. I missed some of you guys coming in, but I'm just thrilled you're all here. So just so you know, I love y'all. Okay. All right. So this is coming out of Pennsylvania. So when I was 14, my mom once again moved our family, me, my little sister, stepsister, and brother, into the first home she had ever purchased. The expense was cheap, and the year was 1989. The house was located right behind the school we attended and graduated from. Nothing happened or felt weird initially, and for me at least, my little sister said she felt strange right from the beginning, as if she was being watched and never felt really comfortable. The first thing that happened was when the handle on my door would turn. The door would open slightly and then close, and it would continue to do this until I told it to stop. And then whatever it was would do it to my sister's door. Wow. Sounds like another sibling. Quit poking. I'm sorry, I was going to do something, but I guess it's okay. My mother would see shadow figures run across the bathroom wall, and I've seen 3 shadow people by my bed. I just recently found out from my little sister that she went to do some laundry, and when she heard me call her name up from the basement, and I wasn't home. She didn't do her laundry that day, and I've heard my mother from the top of the basement steps when I was doing my laundry, and she wasn't home. The attic window would blow out the window frame on its own and land on the roof, and one time I heard my brother walk through the house before he got home. So it sounds like there's a lot of doppelganger or mimic stuff going on. And, you know, spirits sometimes do that. I don't know why. If it's just a head game or what, I don't understand, you know, what the purpose is. But, I mean, it's creepy, it's freaky, but you almost have to wonder if it's a time slip of a sort. Is the voice an actual time slip itself? Is there something going on, you know, with quote unquote space-time in that house? You know, I believe that portals happen naturally. I believe that there are portals opening and closing all the time, and perhaps there are beings that can see when that happened and exploit it. But I think that also these portals can be windows into space-time. And sometimes the apparitions that we see, when they're residual, maybe those are space-time slips rather than an absorbed energy. Maybe a little window's opening into a past event, and, you know, it's just peeking through a little bit. I don't know. It's a weird thing. So either the energy is impressed on an environment, or there's a time slip of some sort happening that gives us windows to other times and maybe space. I don't know, but I think there's something to that. I think that there might be something to that. But if it is actually an intelligent haunt that's really screwing with people, then that's creepy. But I don't know why they would do it. What would be the gain? Is it just to unnerve people, to lower their defenses and freak them out? And that could very well just be it. I don't know, but there's a lot of different variables when you're looking into the paranormal to try to figure out what the hell's going on. Sometimes there's just no way to know. I mean, there's no easy answers in this stuff, so very weird. So, oh, yeah, he was in here. Who missed? Who came in? Oh, okay. Oh, Pat missed it. Okay. Yeah, my little minion. He's pretty great. He decided he wanted to be in here for the show, but didn't want to stay the whole episode this time. He did last time, so. But yeah, those are weird phenomena. I don't know why they happen, but they do come up a lot. There's oftentimes people will see family members go through the house or a portion of the house, and then go into another portion of the house and see the family member there where they couldn't be. And so, it's like, is that a time slip? Or is that just a doppelganger thing where something's looking like a relative of yours or part of your family or whatever? So I don't know, but it is a real enigma. There's something amiss. But I think that, again, I think the paranormal demonstrates a fluid and dynamic reality, whereas we think reality is really rigid, and we think everything is just encased in these blocks, and we kind of move from one block to the other block to the other block. But what if it's a flowing river and stream, and there's lots of energy interchange going on throughout all of this, all of the different vibrations, and sometimes we just get bleed through. And I don't know the answer. I just throw out the ideas, but it is kind of curious to me. I mean, it would be better to think it was just a time slip rather than something really trying to screw with you. I think so anyway. But maybe we'll never know, but those are the questions. All right, the next one is coming out of Texas, the great state of Texas. It says, I was 13 when this event occurred, and I had about 2 or 3 encounters with paranormal things, but this was the most frightening by far. It was already 2 or 3 in the morning, and so I decided to go to sleep since I was already sleepy, and I didn't like to go to sleep alone, so I got my dog to sleep with me. My mom had already told me that my sister's old room was haunted by an evil entity. Wow, that's a good mom. I mean, at least she's acknowledging this stuff. But I wasn't really bothered by it, so I just started to go to sleep when my dog started to whimper. She sat straight up and ran into the room since the door was open, and she ran under the bed and didn't come out for about 10 minutes. I started to get worried, so I called her, but she didn't come. By this time I was already really scared, so I called her again, and she had come out the second time that I called her, but she didn't want to go back, so I shut the door. An hour or so passes and nothing happened, so I decided to try to go back to sleep, and as soon as I shut my eyes, the door opened and a cool breeze rolled across the sheet. I hadn't opened my eyes yet. A couple of minutes later, the bed began to shake violently. At that moment, I sat up straight, and my dog was growling at me. Right at that moment, she jumped at me, and I threw her off of me, and she immediately snapped out of it and ran to my mother's room with me right behind her. P.S. I never slept in that room again. I don't blame you. That's terrible. Pets do get affected, and pets can be, I don't know if it's an actual possession, but they can be overtaken. I mean, it could be an actual possession, but I think, I've heard about this, and one of the events that I've heard about with a pet just becoming, like it was a strange pet, like it's not your dog anymore. And it was from a family member that told me the story when they had a terrible haunting experience years ago, and they got they got up in the middle of the night. I think it was about 2 a.m. because they heard something going on in the other room, and they were dealing with a really aggressive haunting for quite a while. And first the wife went out there, and she then came back quickly and said, come here, you got to hear this. You got to see this." And so he came up out of bed, and these are two adults, and he said what he saw when he went into the other room was like the whole room was filled with a milky haze. Couldn't even see the other wall of the living room. And it wasn't a huge palatial house. But whatever was there was just really crazy. And then he said all of a sudden the mist kind of went down and slowly faded. And the next thing he heard was a big, huge crashing sound from down in his basement. He said he couldn't figure out where it was. He looked around, and couldn't figure it out. But so he and his wife were sitting at the table in the dining room, and the dog was laying underneath. And suddenly, he said his dog just suddenly jerked up. The dog was laying underneath the table, but he said the dog suddenly just jerked up, flew out from under the table, and was growling and just ferocious, and just made a charge for the sliding glass door. Smacked into it, didn't break it, but this is a big mastiff, so it wasn't a small dog, and hit the ground, and then kind of shook his head and got up and was fine. He was just normal after that. But it's like something had taken control of that dog, and they didn't find out that night what that big noise was, but he said the next morning after he woke up, he went down into the basement and looked around into a side room, and it was his work room, and he said every one of his tools and equipment was torn off the wall and thrown to the other side of the room, including mounting brackets and stuff were snapped off of the wall. They were broken. So whatever that was so incredibly powerful that it affected the whole house, and they heard the screaming sound too. That the screaming was also a part of it. It's like somebody was screaming at the top of their lungs, but it was like a faint scream. So it was just apparently horrendous. And I told him, I think that's got to be, if that's not demonic, that's got to be damn close, because whatever that is has got so much power that it can do that much. Then that is an incredibly, incredibly dangerous situation. Normally, ladies and gentlemen, hauntings are maybe, weird things will happen, like your toothpaste will move to the other counter, or, little things. A door might open, or, you might hear these footsteps. And most hauntings are not really that over the top. They're just little, mostly subtle things. But, when it's your home, you notice subtle things, because that's your place of solitude and solace. So when something's not right. But a haunting this aggressive, where it's tearing stuff off the walls, filling a space with a visible milky smoke, and then he said, and then after they finally went back to bed, and he said you could hear a marble rolling around on the upstairs floor right above the bedroom, and that's where the TV was. And then he said the TV turned on loud, just full blast, and he said it was just crazy. And it was this went on literally. So this was like literally a poltergeist kind of haunting, now that I think about it, because it really was short-lived. Most poltergeist hauntings happen, in a period of days, or maybe a couple months or something. And this was about a month on the nose, and the haunting stopped dead, just completely dead and done, on the day after Halloween. So this is a few years back, but it was just over the top. I mean, I wasn't in a position to really do much, but I was on the phone with him every day and talking to him about cleansing and walking through it with him as he did it when we were on the phone, and I could just literally feel the fear and the heaviness. And that was over a phone connection, so I couldn't imagine actually being there, but it was just a really profound event and a pretty incredible haunting. Now, nobody got hurt, but things were regularly thrown and so many more things. And he was being directly oppressed. He was being directly attacked by this thing on an emotional and mental level as well. So it's just, when these things really happen, when they really go over the top, it's like crawling into a movie, except worse, because it's real. You don't get to leave that movie. That's your life. So Geez. But anyway, as far as pets, they can be affected. They can be directly affected. They can be taken over. And again, I wouldn't call it possession because I don't think generally it doesn't happen for any length of time. It's just kind of a momentary thing where they can just turn like a switch, and all of a sudden you don't know that animal. They don't know you either. They're just ferocious and just it's really scary. So that's pretty wild stuff. All right, so the next one is coming out of California, ladies and gentlemen. And this one says, I'm really, really close friends with two sensitive girls. Sensitive in the paranormal sense, anyway. And they both told me this story, and it really creeped me out. They are pretty sure that they saw a demon. The two of them were walking downtown here in the wine country, and it was still light out. And they were heading for the brewery, and all of a sudden, they see this young man, Sam, being harassed by the police. Sam is homeless and talks to himself and has stalked people and writes about the devil. He's pretty scary to be around. My friends keep walking after seeing him, and slowly a car pulls up beside them, and in the back seat, with the window down, is a teenage girl, and she is leering at them. She is wearing all black and is almost green in skin color, much like a dead person. The look on her face was so scary that my friends took off running. One of them started to cry, and as they run down the street, they see the same girl standing ahead of them. It would not have been humanly possible for her to have gotten out of the car and run down the street before them. She just appeared. They hurriedly ran into the brewery and prayed that she wouldn't come in after them. And they told me they would never wish the experience on anyone. They both have seen a lot of ghosts, but never a demon. They are wondering if the demon is connected to Sam, and he seems to be interested in witchcraft and has a very negative energy to him. He actually stalked one of the girls that saw the demon, and this was previous to the encounter. What do you think this was? I don't know. A demon. I'm going to go with demon. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to know, but that's a pretty profound experience. It certainly isn't the run-of-the-mill kind of thing. All right, the next one, ladies and gentlemen, is coming out of the state of Utah. Utah. This happened to me several years ago, and to this day, I can't sleep with my legs stretched out so that my feet are near the end of the bed. I went to bed that night just like I would every other night, nothing out of the ordinary, only I awoke at 3 a.m. to something grabbing and tugging on my left foot. When I opened my eyes, I began to sit up, and whatever it was let go. My first reaction was to start yelling at my little brothers for waking me up, but then I realized that my door was still closed, and if it had been one of them, I would have heard them running, or they would be standing there when I woke up. I slept on a mattress on the floor. He says white trash, I know. For the record, I sleep on a mattress on the floor, too. I have an antique bed frame that broke, and I've never gotten around to fixing it, so I guess that makes me white trash, too. So no one could have hidden under my bed, and the closet doesn't have a door, and it's crammed full of stuff, so no one could have hidden in there. And still thinking that it was somehow one of my siblings, and I turned around to look at the clock, and it was 3 a.m. This may or may not be important, but it is a little odd that ever since then, I wake up every night around 2:30 to 3, and since I was still half asleep and had ruled out anyone in my house as the culprit, I just went back to sleep, which is a little odd since the next morning upon waking up, I remembered what happened and was very freaked out and still had no idea what could have grabbed my foot. There was a firm pressure like a hand, and the tugging was hard enough to wake me up, and it didn't let go until I actually started to sit up. So I really don't think this could have been a dream, and sleep paralysis is something I have experienced a number of times, and this was nothing like any of those experiences. I'd love to know what other people think this may have been. I guess it must have been somebody tugging on your leg, but why is another thing. I don't know. Is there a message? Is there a reason? Is there danger that it's trying to warn you about? I don't know. It's hard to know. All right, the next one is coming out of Texas again, and this one's a real short one. I forget what night this was on, but I was sleeping in my bedroom one night when I suddenly woke up, and I just raised my head when I saw 3 black shadows or ghosts at the foot of my bed. One of these ghosts was apparently reaching for me when I woke up, and the other 2 were standing absolutely still, maybe a step behind and to either side of the black shadow that was reaching for me. I never felt the ghost touch me, but it was moving away to stand upright when I had seen them. I know that the house I am living in was originally owned by my grandparents before they had passed away, and I'm the only other occupant of the house. My grandparents had built the house in the 40s, I believe, and I think that 2 of the ghosts would be my grandparents, but since I could only make out figures of what appeared to be that of a normal person and could not make out any distinguishing features, and I'm not sure who or what the 3rd ghost would have been. Since this house has only been occupied by my family, I highly doubt that there are actually ghosts that would want to harm me in any way, but even though I never really had the chance to know my grandparents very well before they both passed away, I am having trouble trying to figure out why there would be 3 black shadows, ghosts, instead of 2. And I don't know why this person is stuck on the idea that it has to be them. And again, that's common thinking when it comes to the paranormal, that for there to be a haunting, there has to be a tragic death or there has to be an attachment to the place, and there doesn't have to be. It could be attached to an object that was brought into the place. It could be a portal that opened because of something incredibly emotional or something like that, or, it could be somebody messing with a Ouija board or any number of things. But there could just be spirits that just wander through and decide to check it out. But there doesn't have to be a direct reason for there to be a haunting. And I don't know if this qualifies as a haunting or not. It was just, as far as I can tell, it was just that one event from the narrative of this story. But, it doesn't have to be anything in particular. If you get spirits, you get spirits, especially if you have a sensitivity. If you have pretty pronounced psychic abilities, whether you realize it or not, they're going to find you. The spirits are going to be drawn to you like a beacon, So, and they don't have to have an attachment to the house in order to come in. Well, generally, I don't know that they can just wander in, but there's somehow that they can gain access through whatever means. But anyway, there doesn't have to be that, oh, Grandpa died here, and so that had to be him. I don't know. The way that I figure it, though, is that when he woke up, the spirit was kind of reaching out, but was drawing back. So whatever had happened, it sounded like it was already done. So I don't know. That's pretty creepy, though. Pretty creepy, ladies and gentlemen. All right, the next one is coming out of Pennsylvania. So this one is not too long either. A lot of short stories tonight, I guess. So I see we're at the almost 35-minute mark, so I guess I'll probably have to pull up 1 or 2 more. So this occurred on a warm summer night in about the year 2000, and I was 16 years old. And my friend Mike, his friend Matt, and my stepdad Paulie and I decided to cast some spells that night. Okay, good fun. And this was the first time I met Matt as well, and we decided to cast our spell down at the old basketball court that was overgrown and not used for years, and it was such a beautiful, clear night as well. We went down there and set up, and, the usual candles, and we had the candles set up in a pentagram form, and I was to lead our circle in our magical workings, and I all of a sudden heard words in my head in a different language that sounded like Latin. So I decided to go with it, and I repeated what I heard. And the next thing we knew was lightning crackling across the sky. It was so bright it lit up the town. After that happened, we started to see ghosts everywhere. Anywhere you looked, you would see someone that had passed away. About 15 minutes later, there were people's names appearing in our hands. This was freaking everyone out but me. I was unusually calm. So we ended up going back to the house and sitting on the porch, and as I stated before, I didn't know Matt, and when we were sitting on the porch, I was telling him about when his grandparents died, or his grandmother died, and what she was wearing when she was buried, and where she was buried, and how old he was at that time, and it freaked him out so bad that he was crying. Around 1 a.m, Mike was begging me to walk him and Matt to his house, which he lived right next to my house, so I obliged and walked them across the yard. I don't know what I said that night, I can't remember it all, but I suggest that if I remembered it, that no one attempt it that isn't magically strong enough for it. Well, I would have to agree with that. You shouldn't mess around with rituals if you really don't know what you're doing. I mean, that's a weird thing because, with magical practices, there's when you're following a system of practice, there is a specific set of instructions. There are very specific things that should be accomplished and done. It's like a very specific formula. And if you start messing it up or walking away or you don't close it or whatever, anything you open, you have to close. It's really important to adhere to that formula if that's what you believe and that's what you're accomplishing, because if you start screwing it up, so he already said that all of a sudden these words were happening in his head, so he just went with it and started speaking them, and it's like, that's probably not the way you're supposed to do that. And if there's negative consequences from that, it's not hard to understand why. It sounds like the ritual kind of got hijacked in a sense. What does that mean? I don't know. Could just be that it screwed up the spell and it just went awry and then faded, but it could also mean that something else, was able to accomplish something that they couldn't have without those guys, losing control. So I don't know. But then, there's a lot of questions with stories like that. I don't know. Again, I have no idea if it's true or not. I have no idea of anything about the people that, wrote it. And I'm not claiming they don't know what they're doing. Maybe they really do. I don't know. But those are just some cautionary measures that come to my mind whenever you're messing with forces like elemental forces and spiritual practices. You have to be real careful. So let's see. Yeah, I'm going to pull up a couple more. If you guys are up for it, I'll keep going. A little bit more anyway. The whole world is awry. You're right, Sarah. It is, but I think the key is to not be awry yourself. So we are not a product of the world. See what I'm saying? I think that we shape our reality, right? So the world will be awry, but once we quit being awry, and I realize that sounds stupid, but once we quit feeding into that system, then we create our own reality within that awry world. And maybe that's how the world stabilizes, is enough of us create our own realities that aren't screwed up. And then maybe it will overwrite the screwed up parts, to put it in a real general nutshell. All right, so this one sounds kind of interesting. So I'll pull up two more, and we'll call that, let's see. No, that's not too long. And let me look at the second one I pulled up. Nope, 2 good stories. This should do it. So the first one is coming out of the state of Florida, and it says, when I was 7, I always used to see this orb. It was a really dimly lit ball of light about the size of grapefruit, and I saw it every single night for about 2 months. I could watch it for about maybe 5 minutes or so, and before it would finally disappear. And it would stay within 10 feet of my bed, and sometimes it wouldn't move much at all, and other times it would move slowly across the room. One day I asked my dad if he would sleep in my room so he could see it. And that night the ghost appeared within 2 feet of my face. And I was so scared at first, but then gazed into it for about 10 seconds, and I only saw light slightly moving inside. Nothing particular, but I nudged my dad awake, and he was half asleep and rolled over with his elbow outstretched and hit the ghost by accident. And the ghost disappeared and never came back. I moved to my mom's house when I was about 14, and I was awakened one night in a panic. For no reason, just drenched in sweat, and saw a large orb at the end of my room, oval-shaped, like 3 feet long, and it was there for about 4 seconds before disappearing. So I'm 23 now, and I would like to see the ghosts, but I'm actually kind of scared of them because they always appear at night for some reason, after I'm already asleep. And it scares you when you wake up wondering how long they've been watching you. And I think in some ways I've blocked them out somehow since it's been so long now and since I've seen one. How can I go from seeing one every night to none at all for like 9 years? I'm kind of curious about them and scared at the same time. If it is indeed because of mental walls I've made against them, or something I would like to work on removing them and getting another chance to see them. Or maybe it was just the house I was living in, I'm not sure. One time in the same house, 3 other people saw the same ghost at the same time. And we were all playing around the living room, and out of fun, I blurted out, "Look, a ghost is coming out of my brother's room." And everyone looked and laughed because they knew it was a joke, but sure enough, a ghost started coming out of my brother's room. We all ran out of the house. But that goes to show it must have heard or been watching us because it responded to what I said. Weird, huh? Yeah, that is weird. Now the question that I have to ask is did this person create that? Was he inadvertently creating these experiences? Or was it indeed another intelligence that was watching him? And, who can know? But when you proclaim something like, "Hey, a ghost is coming out," just making something up, and then boom, a ghost comes out, that's like that's pretty rare chance that would just happen. So either the ghost is like, "All right, cool, I'll come out," because I think, I've seen many videos of alleged ghost activity. And granted, most of them are not true. Most of them are just a bunch of crap. But the ones that seem legit, when they show them moving, if they're really moving, not just drifting, but if they're really moving, they really can travel in like a blink of an eye. I mean, they can move like, like you'd think of like Dash from The Incredibles, just like boom, boom. They can do that. And I think it's because we are encumbered. Our energy is encumbered by a physical form. And so everything about our experience is attached to the physical, for the most part, our physical experience. But these beings of energy don't have those limitations. I mean, they don't have those anchors and those things pulling them back and slowing them down. So they can literally travel at the speed of thought. And so, is it possible that a ghost overheard him saying, "Hey, there's a ghost coming out of there," going, "Okay," and did it? It sure is, I think. But was that what happened? Never know. Okay, and the last one tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is coming out of Florida again. And this is, let's see. Sorry, I'm just so tired of this winter dry air. It's just killing me. Not really, but I get really dry. So it says, when I was 13, I saw something I'll never forget. I was with my Uncle Mark posting a house up for sale, and we were locking up, and I saw a black cat, so I decided to chase it out of the house, and the towel was wet, and I was in my socks, and the cat went down the hallway, and I caught a glimpse of a white figure shaped into a 7-year-old girl. The residents from the house stated that a girl died in the small fire coming from the lamp in her room. That night I couldn't sleep. having a dream of the girl scared me awake. And I went to get a glass of water, but the refrigerator was opened for me, and a full glass of water was sitting on the counter beside me. I rushed to my room and got my four-wheeler key and drove to my next-door neighbor, Tyler's house, and I finally got my glass of water from his house and stayed the night with him. That morning I went home, but the doors were locked, and my parents were still gone on vacation. So I went back to Tyler's house and waited until my parents got home, and when I told them about everything, they didn't believe me. The refrigerator door was closed, and there was no glass of water on the counter. I can guarantee that what I saw was real, but I really don't know. Now I'm 14, and I've never experienced anything like it again. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's a full boat of stories for you tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this Bedtime Stories from Beyond. And again, please subscribe if you're checking out this video. I would really appreciate it. It will really go far in helping the portal grow and expand and become what the portal will become. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day tomorrow. And remember, tomorrow's hump day, so Don will be over here and we'll be tearing it up on our Wednesday 2-hour show right here at 7 p.m. on YouTube. So I hope you guys will tune in for that. It's always good when Don shows up. So we're looking forward to that. So I hope you guys are here with us. And let me see. I don't think there's any announcements to make right now. So I think that's about it for tonight. But I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. And help each other out. And I will be back tomorrow night with Don here on the portal. So have a great hump day. And hurry up and get back to home and turn on your YouTube, and I'll be here waiting for you. So you guys have a great night, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Sweet dreams.